Afterthoughts.
Afterthoughts again.
Afterthoughts? Thoughts after?
So excited to have you guys with us, and it's going to be exciting to watch people as they come on. Thank you so much for being here. And we have a little addition to our props. There's me,
Yeah.
Delton. Hi.
I'm Andrew. Hey.
Dawn. And Joe.
Joe the wheelbarrow.
Joe the wheelbarrow, right here.
How about Willie the wheelbarrow?
Willie?
Yeah.
Wheelie the wheelbarrow. Okay, so as you're coming on,
That's good.
as you're coming on, we'd love to know wheelbarrow stories. Do you have any like childhood wheelbarrow stories? Like, you had to work so hard, like push a wheelbarrow uphill both directions, or I don't know, those stories, or funny stories about wheelbarrows, or any wheelbarrow stories that you can share, because obviously this was a prop for last Sunday's sermon, and Afterthoughts is about us, how God's been working in our thoughts, reflections about the message He presented before us on Sunday, and then, kind of ruminating that. And it can be very productive in our lives. And so, what are your wheelbarrow stories to get us started? So,
Yeah.
Any wheelbarrow stories? What does it make you think of? Wheelbarrow.
There's one story of when I was in high school and I broke a glass table and I needed to move a lot of rocks.
This was punishment or
This was like
discipline or something?
It was me paying for the table through manual labor. So working out sweat
I like
equity.
that parenting philosophy.
It was
And this is a wheelbarrow moving rocks kind of story.
it was like raking rocks and moving rocks and then digging a hole and then
Ugh.
it was a lot of work. I don't recommend it to anybody, but it looks nice to this day.
Oh.
I go back to my house or my parents' house and I see it every single time.
Oh. Well, when I think about this, okay, so for the illustration we used on Sunday, I got to buy a new wheelbarrow. So this is a new wheelbarrow.
Woo.
Our old one was the one when we originally built our house, and we did a lot of work on the building of our house, now 15, 14 years ago. And it also, you know what this reminds me of? Of stuff I would never do again, because we were trying to do some of the work and subcontracting other parts of it out, kind of acting as a general contractor on our house. And one of the things we did is did all the pre-foundation preparation, all the dirt and the ditches and all the, and then they came in and poured the cement. And I would never do that again. It was like, oh my gosh, that was so much work and a lot of wheelbarrow work. And it was just like, oh my God. It just reminds me of stupid decisions I've made before. Too much work. Should have paid somebody else.
I always remember wheelbarrows lately making our rose garden, and we lined up all these paths with white rocks
Right.
that we went and got out of the field and hauled in the wheelbarrow.
Oh, that's right.
And usually 9 times out of 10 when I'm using the wheelbarrow, there's a flat tire.
That's right.
And it's just really aggravating, or I load it too much, and then when I go to dump the load, it's pretty much like throwing me on the ground behind it, or I don't make it to my destination and it tips halfway through it and it ends up not where it was supposed to be.
So you don't have good wheelbarrows, and you don't.
I have accomplishment feelings from the wheelbarrow, but also we always do things so late at night, and I remember a lot of times with cement in a wheelbarrow for one last push of the project with a flashlight, and it's like 11 at night, and we're out there with that wheelbarrow trying to get something done.
Well, I agree with Marty, who I think, has this wheelbarrow ever been used? No. Like I said, I got it brand new just for this
I can smell
illustration.
the fresh rubber of the tire.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's replacing one that's in really bad shape, though.
Yeah, good.
So when you go on youth trips, there's always
Like mission
Always
trips,
a
though?
wheelbarrow.
mission trips. There's always a wheelbarrow, and it's always either flat.
Yes,
It has a wobbly wheel that's like
yeah.
cockamamie or something like that,
Or
you know.
a broom
Right.
handle for the handle that's broken.
Or it doesn't have any cross braces, so like if you lift this side too much, it just. Oh, so you have to be really careful.
There's an art to wheelbarrowing.
Barreling.
When I think about it, is sometimes you'll see, and sometimes it's in maybe in a country or a place that doesn't have an incredible amount of modern equipment, so they're building those mission trips I'm thinking, which I think takes so much expertise by the builders because they're using this kind of equipment and going through little catwalks and running, just going with full loads of cement around these little narrow paths and catwalks and boards. So
I can remember our kids pushing each other in a wheelbarrow with a puppy or two
yeah.
in it. That's kind of fun.
I love this ride. I tried to give my sister a ride in a wheelbarrow. It was always dumped over.
Did it always
For
dump
sure.
over by accident or by purpose?
Yeah, really.
I remember one mission trip in inner Mexico. I don't remember the name now of the place. You remember? And our job was to move all these rocks away from where they were going to build a building.
Yeah.
And so we took them far and dumped them. 3 or 4 years later, we go back to the same mission site, and we have to go get all those rocks and haul them back up to build a flower bed or something. I'm like, I remember these rocks.
That's right.
And then the verse, the time to gather rocks and a time to scatter rocks. I'm like, why did we have to take them so far 3 years ago? Why couldn't we have left them right there? And then the guy goes, so that y'all would have something to do the next time.
Oh. Well, listen, you guys hang in there because we do have the wheelbarrow is going to be our path to talking about some, hopefully, faith-encouraging things. But as we segue to that, let's just talk about some things happening in the ministry and announcements and everything of stuff that's coming off. So one announcement we want to make is about Sunday, about the Lord's Supper at Point of Grace, which is a little shift from what we've been doing in COVID, but not completely back to the way we used to do it, right? Because now that we have in-person and online worship, just to quickly do it again, we will have the Lord's Supper. It will be just in a small little separate part of the service just after the regular service is over, so roughly around 12 noon.
Yeah.
And if you're in person, at that point, just hang on to your seat. In about when we conclude the service in 2 minutes, we'll have it's going to be really sweet, I think, a really 10-minute devotional kind of service just for the Lord's Supper, very intimate, very good. If you're online, Andrew, what are we going to have to do if you're online?
There will be another link that you'll be able to find on the website that you have to click. It'll take you to a portal for Vimeo to watch the live. So it'll be very simple just to click, and then you'll be there. So.
Right. And so the regular service, if you're watching online, will end, right?
Yeah.
And then go to the website, click. Good. And so it won't do the normal, be broadcast to Facebook and everything like that. So if you're watching on Facebook, then just go to the website after the service is over and click. And we'll give you those instructions if you're watching, but watching to the very end of the service. So it's going to be really, really good.
So just celebrate the last 2 weeks since we've had in person. The first week we had about 70 or so people, and last Sunday, I don't know, maybe close to 100 in the building at one time.
Yeah, a little over 100.
So
right?
that's been so exciting. I remember I was not prepared for hearing everyone in the room do the Lord's Prayer out loud. So that one got me. I wasn't expecting that to touch me like that.
Yeah.
But just to hear everybody's voices. So
Right.
this will be exciting to take communion with other people again. And also that means save a seat for this Sunday.
Please, go to the website and save
Yeah.
a seat. We'll see. I don't know if we'll have to cap it or not, but anyway, there's still some room left as far as the numbers as of this afternoon. So, so go to the website and save a seat if you plan on coming in person. But what I love too, Dawn, is we're going to have in person, but we're going to have online too, and it's going to be this extra little step you take, which will create that sense of an intimacy. Everybody that will be there will really want to be there, and so that's going to be good. I think that's a good context for us to celebrate the sacrament.
Yeah.
So,
And we want to celebrate Alpha, started
Woo!
last Sunday and last Tuesday. Awesome.
Hallelujah.
Awesome. Hallelujah, yeah. So we've been talking about you can invite anyone from anywhere, and I think we were up to 8 different states represented. in
Yeah.
Alpha,
right.
So that's awesome.
I bet
And
our
some-
Alpha director will probably be
Yeah,
chiming
tell us
in
how
with,
many,
8.
So-
Can you believe that? So seriously, 8 states.
Florida,
There was
Wisconsin.
There was
Florida,
Wisconsin. There's a
Texas,
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah. Minnesota, I think. I'll just make up some states. Say some states here.
But anyway.
Oh, New York. There's a New York.
Great,
New York.
A great turnout and lots of technical glitches that first night, just getting all those people
Right.
at their own home with their own technology challenges, plus just doing something new. stuck with it though, and then Tuesday night went a little bit
So
smoother,
I think we
but
currently,
it's exciting. Very
between the
exciting.
2 nights, there's 35 people in Alpha. Participants, not
That's awesome.
include the helpers. That's like a big course. That's a big in-person course for us. So can you guys just put your hands together or put thumbs
Yes.
up? Can you hit, however you do this, online, how do you
Yeah.
do this? Put clapping hands?
Yeah,
Just
we want to
celebrate.
celebrate that there's prayer coverage for Alpha also.
Tell us about that. How does that work?
So it's a Facebook
different.
group page,
Okay.
and every week Mark will go onto that page and he'll explain the latest prayer requests for that Alpha week coming up, or celebrate how God's
Mm-hmm.
been working. And so you just go to alpha@pog.church and email and say, I'm interested. You get invited to the Facebook prayer group.
So you get in a group then,
You
and you'll
get in-
get those
yeah.
notifications of when
Yes.
there's a post. And is it for what do people do if they're part of that group?
So the goal is, we want to think big. We want to think hundreds of people in an Alpha prayer group. That would be awesome, to where they're also all over the States too, or the
Right.
world virtually. And so whenever there is a post of a need, you can pray on your own in your head in your house, or you can actually write out a prayer on the comment in the
Oh, my
group.
gosh.
And then it's not just chit chat or talking, it's actually verbally, or no, not verbally. What would that be? In
Tech-
writing, write
yeah.
out your prayer.
Writing out your prayer,
Yes, so it's so rich. Then if there's a prayer need and I see what you write as a prayer,
and then
I write
and that
a prayer.
catalyzed me in
Yeah.
prayer. So if we could
Yeah.
focus on using that to pray,
Yeah. True prayer coverage over Alpha.
oh
That's
my gosh,
awesome.
and there could literally be hundreds of people. I mean, so
And then a reminder hits your notifications at an hour before Sunday, hour before on Tuesday, to remind you, okay, Alpha's in an hour, start praying.
start praying, and then you can sense other people praying by what's
Yeah.
happening on the prayers that are coming
Yeah.
in. So
That's
that's a
awesome.
different way to pray,
Exciting, yes.
but I think that reflects. So we're just praising God. Yeah, we got a lot of clapped hands and everything.
Flo-
Oh, look, there's the
Florida, Colorado, MN, Minnesota,
Yeah.
New York, North Carolina, Washington, Wisconsin, and Point of Grace Church, Pflugerville, Texas.
Nice. That is so
That's a lot of
exciting.
states.
That's exciting. This is fantastic. Oh, that's
You want to
great.
celebrate youth group?
Yeah, youth group met for the second time in person
High
last
school?
night and online, in person and online. We had like 10 students
Yeah.
here in person and a few online, and that was awesome. It was a really,
Exciting.
we're going into the Lord's Prayer, and I was just really impressed with with all of the discussion that we had and everything that was going on. So that was,
And they're hungry to be together.
yeah, it seems like it. They have a lot of fun, and we played it.
Well, while you were meeting here, one grow group, we were meeting out on the back porch to try just get together for every other one. And so we had like 10 people. So
But you were
there's
spread out, right?
We were
A
spread out
big
6
circle.
feet with our chairs, and it was beautiful outside, and
That's
it was just a
awesome.
nice change.
Right.
And so then next week we won't be in person, but we're just experimenting. So I encourage you also, if you're ready to investigate being a part of a grow group, that's a great way to stay connected, either online or in person, depending on what that grow group's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So email
Andrew at pog.church.
That's
Pog
you.
Church.
That's me.
right.
Andrew, let's just
I have another
flood
question
his
for you.
email.
I have another
Andrew.
question. Andrew, we're kicking off a new message series
Yeah, this
this
is exciting.
Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a partnership. Just you and I are doing this together.
Yeah.
It's really fun so far. And
is
so tell us about this series.
Yeah, so it's called Jesus, Can I Thrive in My Anxious World, right?
Right?
Did I get that?
That's right.
And so we're talking about anxious feelings, anxiety, and how can Jesus help us thrive? What is the way of Jesus in this world?
Right.
What is his yoke that he invites us? He invites us to come to him.
Right.
It's so cool.
What does that look like? How does it? Where's the difference makers that Jesus brings? So,
Yeah, and I think it's really,
so when you hear that title, what comes in your mind? You know,
Yeah.
I would love it if you guys, anyone would share like, oh, I hope they cover this, or I hope they talk about this, or just that. What you just shared.
Yeah.
What does that spark in you? An interest?
Jesus, can you help me thrive in my anxious world?
Right.
And I think,
What goes in your mind? What comes in your mind whenever you hear that? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Well, I think part of it would be, do I really believe Jesus can help me?
Good.
That could be a question. Or I tried everything else and that's not helping me. Maybe I should give Jesus a try.
Right.
I'm just being facetious
Right,
here and
right.
sarcastic. But,
Yeah.
do I really believe he can help me in my anxiety? So that's what's going
That's
through my
good.
mind.
It's good.
It's pretty.
Which
I
takes
think
us.
it's a good time, though, because COVID has been going on now so many months. I feel like there's layers and layers and layers of fatigue or anxiety that's been building, and it's like it's time to really address it again.
Right.
So it's exciting. I can't wait to see what you guys do.
It's fun.
I'm
If
kind
you
of
have a
waiting.
wheelbarrow or
I can't
what
wait to
kind
see
of-
what the Holy Spirit does.
Yeah, what kind of prop are you going to have besides
Right.
a wheelbarrow?
Right.
Well,
Okay.
so why do we have this here?
Yeah, why do we have this wheelbarrow here?
Okay. This comes out of the Sunday sermon. It was a story with a metaphor, and the story is of in the 1859-ish time frame, a French tightrope walker, Charles Blondin, came to the United States, saw the Niagara Falls, said this is an incredible place to stretch a tightrope across and to do a show, a tightrope show. And he did. He had 1,100 foot, or one place said 1,100, 1,500 foot rope made, 3 inches wide, and he stretched it across, and he walked across it, and then he did all kinds of tricks and everything. And one of them was a wheelbarrow. He wheeled it across. He'd throw a sack of potatoes in, wheeled it across. And everybody loved it. Thousands of people out there watching and everything. And there was a royal party from England watching all this that came for this incredible show. Duke of Newcastle was there. And Blondin went up to him and said, "Duke, do you believe that I could carry a person across here?" "Yes, I believe you can," he replied. And then Blondin says, "Get in." So the difference between "I believe
And get
you
in.
can take a person across there and they'll be safe. I believe in you, Blondin," and "get in." What that crux point is a step of faith, and we talked about that was all about how faith is the basic way we live in relationship to God, that Jesus tells us that's the way it works, and how hard that is sometimes. And we need a lot of help. That's why we're talking stronger together in faith. So there you go. What do you do with that?
I know
Where'd your
one
mind
thought of every day now I wake up with the choice, am I going to let Jesus push me around in the wheelbarrow and trust him, or am I going to just do life on my own today, and then when I get in trouble around 9 or 10 a.m., am I going to now ask Jesus for help?
Right.
So for me, it's like this wheelbarrow thing is an all-day, everyday thing. He's not just a pocket of my life when I call on him when I need him. And it's not just the day I die, do I have faith and go to heaven, or however you want to say
Yeah.
that. It's not just the day I die, but it's every day. There's something to do with this wheelbarrow every day of my life, all day long, is what I'm chewing on this week.
There is that point, and the wheelbarrow is a good example if somebody's going to take you across, but there's a point where, you do this and the weight shifts. The crucial point when the weight shifts, and then I'm trusting.
Yeah.
Have you ever done with youth groups or whatever that trust fall, that idea that you fall into somebody else's arms, and if they don't catch you, you're like broken back, right?
Yeah. Actually, I have a funny story. This is when I was in middle school, and I got called up to do a trust fall. This was all planned beforehand with my DCE, Peter Bergman, in Katy, Texas. And so I was up on a little ledge or something, and he turned off his mic and he walked away, and so his voice was really far away. He said, "Okay," but then I had to do it, even though he sounded like he was far away. My dad caught me.
Tricky.
Yeah, so it was my dad under me, and that was, it was a long time ago, but something
Right.
I remember.
There is a
Yeah.
point of, and I love what you said. I think that's so true. I need to see life as a step of faith, not just big things, but life
Yeah.
is continual. Life with Jesus is a continuous step of faith. Or either I'm going to control life and lead life, or he's going to do it. And he says, "Let me do it because you're messed up." And that's been proven many times, okay? And so, I don't know, the idea that I've just been challenged all week and, just like, okay, it's just like a deep thing to see life every day as steps of faith.
I've got notes all over my paper about different applications of this wheelbarrow, but I'm thinking of if you have gone through your life and pretty much you haven't been able to trust anyone. Everyone's let you down,
Right.
or hurt you, adults that you trusted, or any kind of scenario like that. It's so hard then to believe in someone you cannot see when everyone you've ever trusted in hasn't come through.
Yeah.
So I could see how that application would be really hard then to now that step of faith to trust that God's not like everyone else. He's not human. He is trustworthy. And then do I trust it enough to trust him with my life, get in the wheelbarrow, daily decisions or the big decisions when you haven't been able to trust anyone as
Right.
a child growing up, and then finally there's this adult time when you've got to decide that was people. Can I trust him?
Right. That's huge because when you think about it, so Jesus is the whole, got the, and I'm supposed to get in and look at him, right? But the thing is, what about people that have disappointed me and have dumped me?
Yeah.
They said, trust me, and I gotten dumped somehow. Kind of burns you out on the whole idea of trust.
Yeah. How are you going to be any different? Well, because you're not a person. You're Jesus. You're God.
No, but I think what we are, it's our experiences with people and with our parents or with our friends, that all impacts the way we think about how we
Yes.
go into our relationship
Yes.
with God too.
Absolutely.
So it's a step of faith to say that Jesus is trustworthy.
That Jesus is not like that.
Yeah,
That-
maybe that's a step of faith of, oh, you're a good person. Now I can think, Jesus, you're
Yeah.
good. I can think about getting in the
Right.
wheelbarrow now.
Yeah.
You have to undo a lot of things you might have believed
Right.
wrongly your whole life about God.
On the other hand, there are people in my life that I've trusted and it's worked out. I don't think there's nobody perfect, okay? But I do have some images, metaphors, illustrations,
Yeah.
examples of, I trust you. We've been married 7 years, and so, she just continues to put up with me. So, and that builds trust over time and a lot. So, to be
Yeah.
trusting. I see my parents, they're older. In fact, today I helped my mother go to a doctor's appointment. And I see now they are trusting us. Us being myself, my brother, and my sister, because now we're having to do more like, hey, tell them, no, and you shouldn't, especially with COVID now, restrictions and stuff like that, my older parents, and they're having to trust, okay, we're really surrendering our will to yours now. And so that's interesting to be in the being trustworthy category too.
I think the idea of trust versus obedience is an interesting dynamic of, I feel like, obedience is good. Obedience is a good thing. Trust is a good thing. Neither of them are bad. But if it's only obedience and no trust, that can get more into the earning. I'm obedient to you, God, so I got in the wheelbarrow, therefore you owe it to me to take me across safely, rather than I trust that you are good and you will take.
And life is best with you.
Yeah, I trust that this wheelbarrow is the best thing for me, rather than, okay, now you owe me.
Can I talk about the obedience word?
No, yes, because it's a great way to talk about relationship with God, to see obedience not as the primary thing, but step of faith or trust. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the obedience versus the trust word a little bit, because this week I've really been thinking a lot about obedience can be such a misused concept or a misused word, and especially with parenting or being disciplined. And if I incorrectly used it with my kids and taught them that, okay, you disobeyed, I'm really disappointed in you, and I'm going to punish you, or I'm going to discipline you, and then as soon as that part's over, then you're going to see me smile upon you again, and now we're happy again, and now mom's back to fun mom, or whatever. I can't,
After I've made you pay.
Yes, and so then you grow up thinking, okay, to get your favor now, I need to obey better. And I think we've heard that word obey so much in how we've misused it, that then as an adult, it's hard for me then to not fall into the trap or the lie of the enemy that to gain God's favor and love, you need to obey.
Right.
And don't mess up. But then he says over and over, I loved you when you were a sinner. I
Right.
didn't wait till you cleaned up and then save you or love you. And so I like now how maybe in parenting I should say, I need you to do this because you trust me that I know it's best instead of
Yeah.
obey me. It's like it was misused as a law thing.
Right.
And then I think on Sunday you said obedience is a fruit then after,
Of this trusting relationship.
yeah.
I wind up obeying, doing what God wants me to do, but because I trust you, I trust that you have the best life for me. The meaningful life you intend for me is what I want, so I'm going to trust you. Yeah.
I think also thinking about God's response so after we've done obeyed or trusted, does he say, I think he says, thanks for trusting me, not, well, okay, check, good job,
Right.
add that to the list of the good things, not the bad things that you did.
So it's so hard. Isn't the performance mentality just so natural, though?
Yeah.
And here, Jesus just, it's not.
It's also really freeing to go more into the trust area of, okay, I trust God that you're good for me, and you know and you want what's best, but what I think I don't know if I agree with this, but you seem to agree with, you seem to like this, so I'm going to do what you think.
Right.
Because it frees me to be honest with what I feel and still do.
It
And to
feels
trust
good.
him and love him and obey him out of a good feeling, because it's good for me, not just always out of this law and demand kind of thing.
So it's like trusting him
Trusting
to
him.
go his way, even when I disagree,
Yeah.
but not out of just fear or you're going to hate me then if I don't go. But it's like I trust you more than I trust me.
Yeah. And
That's a richness. That's like getting it straight. You're God and I'm not. And I'm going to
it's like,
honor that.
I might think I've never had this experience, but maybe like going to a physical therapy thing after having a surgery on a joint or something, and having that time where you need to trust the physical therapist to work it out, and you got to do the workout and exercises, and it hurts. I imagine that it hurts really, really bad, and you have to, and it's not good in the moment, but you have to say, okay, I trust you. Well, you know what you're doing, and it'll be good for me in the future.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
It's-
and the metaphor even farther, if you don't, you'll build up a scar tissue or a block where you can't use that limb the right way anymore. But
Yeah.
you have to trust them through the pain or whatever. That's a great
And
analogy.
trusting God, he's got such a longer view of my story than I have.
Yeah.
I've got a view of my past history, but that's even tainted and skewed by my perspective and how I remembered the past. You know what I mean? Like, we've talked about stuff in our childhood we feel guilty about still, and our parents don't even remember it. It's like, so I've been skewed, and God said, I've got a much bigger, and he's got a much better view of my future than I do.
I think of it like when I was a kid, and my dad always used to make me, I always was so frustrated by it. But anytime there was like a plumbing problem under the sink, like a simple one, or like a toilet, he was like, okay, come with me and watch me do it. And I was always like, ugh, I don't want to. This is so boring. And now I know how to do all the stuff.
And now you need to.
And it's like,
Now
okay.
you're the man of
And
the
it's
house.
like, fine. Now that I'm here, thank you
good.
for making me do that.
This
Ivan-
whole idea, you had mentioned it earlier, but as a grandfather now, and I didn't do this specifically as a dad and as a grandfather now, I think whenever my grandkids do what I asked them to do for their good, it would be cool if I said, thank you for trusting me. Then I think it would be richer to say thank you for trusting me than thank you for obeying me.
Yeah.
Thank you for trusting me. And that's much more highly relational. And it does.
I also had an aha moment that every time we don't do a good job of faith and trust and obeying, like I think of doubting Thomas, and Jesus did not just nail him,
Right.
for not believing without seeing his hands and whatever. And then when Peter denied him, and later he sees Jesus, you know, on the beach. And Jesus is so kind. He doesn't just let him have it for disobeying or not obeying good enough or whatever. So that brings comfort that we're not going to do this perfectly, obviously, until we're in heaven, you know, and he's not going to come back at us with a making us pay kind of thing or a berating or humiliation. It's always going to be with open arms and love.
When you think about how Jesus came to present the true version of who God is, right? Father in heaven, and the way he treated people. You talked about the story about whenever Peter denied him and then Jesus was nice to him. Well, in Sunday, kind of we rooted part of our story in the story of Peter walking on the water, and he says, Lord, if it's you out there on the water, come, he says. And so he got off and he walked on the water, but then he looked at the waves, and it's like he's halfway over Niagara Falls on the tightrope, and he starts jumping out of starts to get out of the wheelbarrow.
Good. On Sunday, you said we get in the wheelbarrow sometimes and start on our journey, and then we nope, and then we bail. You know, it's really kind of dumb.
Don't bail
to jump out of a
across.
wheelbarrow over the top of Niagara Falls. That, of all times, is when you should hang on and trust your driver.
We got a comment about that. Talk about sitting in the wheelbarrow, looking where you're going or what's around you versus looking at God.
And looking at Jesus.
Right.
Yeah, and
I need to look at Jesus when I'm in the wheelbarrow,
Yeah.
which is kind of every day.
yeah.
So I have a story about that, the rappelling story.
Oh, please.
yeah.
This is one of our favorites.
All
This
right.
is-
This
yeah.
story is not about me being good at anything. Okay. So I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, our son was working in a camp at Colorado, and he took all the training, and so it was the rappelling where you go down the side of a mountain. And
cliffside,
yeah,
I mean.
cliffside, and you're harnessed in with ropes, and then the belayer, or the person on top who had all the training, he's the one who knows how to let go the rope and slowly let you go down the side. So I'm deathly afraid of heights, and so finally I get to the ledge, and I don't know how many times you guys have already done it before I ever got to the thing. And so he's strong, he's young, athletic, very, very.
He's 20 years old. I mean,
he's just fit, and he's done it all summer. I watched him help you down.
Yeah.
I watched him help other
Josh
people
down, or,
you know.
siblings.
So it's my turn. And he's like, gets me in the harness, and you back up to the back of the side of the cliff. And you're looking at the face of your belayer, and he's like, Mom, look at me. Look me in the eye. Trust me. Just trust me. Just go backwards and let go.
Lean
Just
into the
lean
harness.
back and let that foot off the side of the cliff. I'm like, no, I can't do this. I don't know, 30 minutes. I don't know how long he tried.
Her
Trust
legs
me,
were
trust me.
shaking.
Yeah, and that it just takes that one step, and then you finally would have your adventure or whatever. So for me, in this whole wheelbarrow and faith, that is a big example of I trust Jesus. I don't trust me. Like, I trusted Jonathan, but I knew my legs didn't have it. I was out of shape. I wasn't fit. I was older. I mean, what am I doing? I trust you, but I'm too heavy for you. Or I have butter legs. Or
Right.
I doubted my ability. And then I feel like it's just a great metaphor where Jonathan or Jesus is like, I know you can't do this. You need me. Trust me. But man, that step of faith to finally go off backwards.
And it was a matter of that step of faith in that scenario is like when your weight goes into the harness. You've done that. You've rappelled before, right? Isn't that
It's the worst feeling in the world.
when you
Worst
lean into
feeling.
that harness
Because
and you're
there's
just
a-
in midair.
I mean, there's a point, like when you're on it, when you're on the ledge, it's fine. When you're hanging in the harness, it's fine. But that transition period of weightlessness between where's your weight shifting?
So I love what you said about I trust you, Jonathan. It's not me I don't trust, or I trust you, God. It's me I don't trust. And so what step of faith, we actually used this question earlier. What is Jesus, what do I need to believe about Jesus to trust him when I don't trust me?
That's the step of faith. I mean, that he can do what he says he can do.
That
I
he
can
can
get
get
you
you
down
through
this
what he's
mountain.
asking you to do.
Yeah, I'm God. I'm Jesus. I'm your Lord. I
You know
love
what? You know what story is coming to mind? I don't know if I have an answer for it, but is the story of Moses in the Old Testament, and God is like, okay, I want you to go talk to Pharaoh. And he's like, I am not good at that. And he's like, and the God's like, no. Really, really, really. I need you to go talk to Pharaoh. And he's like, no.
I can't talk.
I can't talk. He's like making excuses, like.
Okay, I'll send your Aaron with you. You're
Yeah,
right.
and so I guess that. I don't know what that. What's the answer?
The
now?
step of faith
The step
is
of
that-
faith is that. Okay, it's not about what words you have, Moses.
Yeah.
It's about the words God's going to use through
Yeah,
you.
it's going to be what I'm going to do through you. It's not what you bring to the table.
Or I want you to hold up your arms for a very long time, and I'm going to part this sea. Well, he didn't even tell him he was going to part the
Yeah.
sea. Just hold your arm.
Right.
Also thinking about like splitting the sea, for the first time, or like okay, the very first time he has to do that staff into the snake miracle, he had to have felt so silly going into it, thinking, I've never seen anybody do this before. God told me to throw this on the ground, and he's going to do something crazy, and it just like, okay, oh,
So the step of faith. So
if this doesn't work, I'm going to look really silly.
if God doesn't show up, I'm toast. That's one of the
Yeah.
things that we say. It's kind of like one of the core values of our church is relentless dependence, and that's just a place.
There's Jake Humans from Concordia always had this quote of Concordia University, Texas, whoosh, CTX. If you are nervous and excited, you're in the right place. And I think there's a good tension that I think relates to this of if you're excited about the possibility of what God's going to do.
And you have a little fear.
And if you're fearful that, I don't know if I can do this, then that's a good place because you're really counting on God to show
Yeah.
up.
Well, I want to finish the end of my story.
Please.
Oh, sorry.
I did not enjoy it. I didn't get down at the bottom and think, yay, I want to do it again. It's like, okay, I did it. I will never do that again. I hated every second. But then this is the crafty, sad part of the story, is that then the enemy, which is Satan and the way he works, was right there like, you took so long. You took longer than anyone else in history. It took you 40 minutes, or you're so this, you're so that. For me, that was a great thing this week of realizing when I do follow Jesus or
Steps of
trust
faith.
him, the enemy's right there then to say, but you didn't do it good enough. And it's like, it's not about me, it's about God doing it, but he still tries to make it, you didn't trust quite good enough. And he's just crafty that way.
And if it took you 40, well, I wish I did it in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you did it in 20 minutes, well, I wish I did it in
Just
10
beware
minutes.
of the
Or I bet
robber.
your kids are so embarrassed by you
Yeah,
right now.
there's always.
And in fact, what had happened, because I was there, we were all so excited
Yeah.
because there's this huge step of faith, and we got to see Jonathan at work doing what he was gifted at doing.
Yeah.
And there's a bond that happened. To this day, you can see it in those two's eyes that had happened there. This beautiful thing.
But if I let the enemy, I'm still embarrassed. And I got to say, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think that was another aha moment this week, that he's just right there to make you doubt again.
Right. And that's why we need Stronger Together. We need
Stronger
to be able
together.
to say, hey,
Yes,
listen.
for you to remind me, they were proud of you.
Oh my gosh, it's just it's a story that obviously when we heard this story in staff meeting,
This was great, yeah.
all of us said, Dawn, you got to be on Afterthoughts and tell the story because it's perfect. And look how
yeah.
God used it.
I know I was thinking about, hearing about belaying and rappelling. I used to rock climb because I was scared of heights, so I started doing this thing so that I could
Wow.
try to get over it. And I remember the first time, so I was in this class with a group of people, and I had the exact same thing. I'm like going up this little baby, the kiddie wall, and I'm like, it's taking me forever, and I'm on the top shaking, and I have to let go. And I get down, I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. Why didn't I trust why did it take me so long to let
Right.
go? Why was I so scared? But then all the group, my whole class was, hey, that was great. Good job.
Stronger Together.
Stronger together. I mean, having that group.
Right. I think, and that's why testimonies about what we're just sharing here, steps of faith, and we were talking about how it's the little steps of faith that I think sometimes are the most significant. There are big steps of faith. Getting married, that's a big step of faith, and and stuff. There are a lot, but it's the daily steps of faith that God uses, I think. And there's something special about looking at my life as daily life with Jesus as a place called faith, a step of faith. The just shall live by faith, right? The little daily steps of faith. You know, like right now, I mean, so Dawn and I are planning to take some vacation, summer vacation, right?
Yeah.
To get away, and so now it's trying to in these 5 or 6 days now, get things done and leave the place in good order. And ultimately, I'm just gonna have to say, okay, let's take a step of faith that we need to do this, and I don't have to have everything perfect forever. Our
Yeah.
step of faith.
And for me, sometimes a step of faith would be between now and then that we're not grouchy, that we are actually happy between now and
Yeah.
Tuesday when we leave.
Right.
Not wait for Tuesday to then be happy.
Right.
So
Step
it would
of-
be it would take a step of faith to act happy, to be happy.
Even though
Even
you're
there's a
working
lot
pretty
of
hard to
work.
get ready,
Right.
right?
Because it's easier just to be grumpy the whole time and, get on each other's nerves or whatever. There's another opposite thing of the wheelbarrow story, too, I think, that we talked about this week of I can either be afraid to get in the wheelbarrow because I doubt my abilities, or I can be the opposite and so self-sufficient and self-reliant and self-confident. I don't need God. I'll just do the wheelbarrow by myself.
I'll walk the tightrope myself.
And so there can be that also block to having faith, I think,
Yeah.
if we're,
And God
Yeah.
says you can do life, but you cannot do life with me without faith. It's a relationship where I'm God and you're not, and trusting. Yeah. Steps of faith. I would love it if we could just kind of think in terms of, we get just a few more minutes, like the little steps of faith in life. What is it, a step of faith? Andrew's preaching for the first time.
woohoo!
While we're gone,
We're
one
gonna
of the
watch online.
one of the services. I'm going to pre-record, so the sermon will be pre-recorded and in person and online. But then one of them you're going to preach. So, is that a step of faith to say,
Yeah, it's very a Moses moment. All right, I need some words, God.
How about this? If God doesn't show up,
I'm really going to be toast. It's like really going to not be good. Yeah.
step of faith. So, what are some steps of faith? Can you put those in just in your comments?
I just
some
was-
steps of faith.
I was thinking
Life
of
is
one.
steps of faith,
if
like
it
in the
might
last day
help
or two.
jog somebody's memory out or some
Yeah.
thinking out there, but I was thinking of a step of faith being like parts of my job, I have to enable others to do things that I know I can do too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sometimes a step of faith to allow people to take part even when they might make a decision that
Just different.
is different than what I would have done. It's like letting go of that control, of
Letting go of control.
letting go of control of, because I could do it all myself, but enabling other people to do it is a step of faith.
You know, it's a step of faith too. I just thought about it when you were saying enabling, is letting kids make mistakes
Yeah,
and not overly critical or overcorrecting of them. Take the long view. Letting kids make mistakes is a step of faith. To parent graciously, I think, is a
Yeah.
step of faith.
Rachel.
of faith.
Rachel commented, "Moving to Texas was a huge step of faith."
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yes.
I bet.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I know.
Well,
was
I mean,
there.
your whole journey, moving to Wisconsin, and
Yeah.
then accepting this call, even though you
Yeah.
were in love with a Wisconsin girl.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was a step of faith. Yeah, lots of steps of faith
Lots of
along
steps
the way.
of faith along the way. Yeah. Steps of faith.
There
Looking
was-
at life.
Thinking about the job, taking the call to come down here, one of the things that was hard was leaving something I knew was safe, and I had been there for a while, and going into this new adventure that God was. I think that was a big step of faith. A couple other big steps of faith, but just allowing God to lead on this journey.
Leaving the known
leaving the known into the unknown.
into the unknown because you felt God was saying yes.
Because there was a lot of things that I didn't know about Point of Grace. I mean, I had known a little bit, but what's it going to be like? And what's Texas going to, I lived
That's
here.
a big step of faith to come somewhere where you've not worshiped before. You visited,
Yeah,
but that's a big deal to say, I'm going to commit to this place of worship
Yeah.
that I don't know how they sing. I don't know what I don't know anything. I'm thinking of little tiny things as steps of faith during the day that aren't tiny after all. Like if someone says something and it offends me, or I get upset, and I'm sure this never happens, but let's just say you hurt my feelings. And so I could go call up a friend and say, oh my gosh, I'm so upset with Delton. He did this, this, and this, and it makes me feel better to go talk to other people or whatever. And it could be in that moment God is saying, trust me and get in this wheelbarrow and do not call anybody. Tell me what you're upset about. Talk to me first. See what I can do.
Right.
Or maybe I'm going to tell you, go talk to him. Or maybe I'm going to tell you, just let it go. But my tendency would be go talk to other people first. And so that would be a small example of a daily thing that would happen that's not the biggies, like moving or
letting go, not
gossiping. Am I going to do this or
Right.
go to this vice or do this? The big ones. Or how about the little ones? Are you going to go talk and gossip, or are you just going to come to me?
Yeah. I've started having like a little, you made me think about, I started setting like some time limit restrictions on like Facebook and stuff. And there was a little bit of like ooh, what if I miss something? Ooh, what if somebody's trying to get... So I have this new thing where it doesn't let me get on my phone until like 9 o'clock in the morning after I've woken up and done a couple things. Hopefully I've woken up by then. And then, so yeah, that's a big step of faith of, ooh, what if somebody's trying to get... What if I miss something?
It's a step of faith. In fact, we're going to talk about that in this series on anxiety. It's a step of faith to put boundaries on your phone.
Yeah.
It's a step of faith. Like, whoa.
FOMO. Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. That's right. That's right. These are some beautiful... You guys are communicating with one another. I think we're experiencing the stronger together as we tell stories of steps of faith. And I love your story about because taking offense or allowing an offense to take root, that's huge. It is a step of faith. But you know what? It's better to look at it. Jesus, I'm going to trust you. What do I need to trust about Jesus to let this go and not? And you wind up, the result is obedience. Do not gossip or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that was on your last part of the paper of what do I believe about, what do I need to believe more deeply about you to do what you're asking? So in that moment, I need to believe more deeply that you can heal this wound. You can smooth this over. You can help me find peace your way. And do I believe that you can do that? I don't know, because it feels better to just go talk bad about somebody.
Right.
But that's not what I want of you anymore. Do I believe he can really help me a different way? And then when you try it a couple times and it actually is better, you're like, oh my gosh, okay.
And it's such a great example because it shifted the engagement. You were hurt, you were offended in some way, you were hurt, and it shifted you to you and Jesus working through it. Jesus, what do I need to believe about you to not go and do something even more damaging, gossip or talk or whatever. It shifted, as opposed to it shifting it here, going to a friend and saying, oh, can you believe what this, you know. Wow, it's huge. Steps of faith, little steps of faith.
Okay, we made a joke earlier about doing it on your own is like willpower, but I changed it to wheelpower.
Wheelpower.
So not doing my own wheelpower, but getting in the wheelbarrow with
That's
Jesus.
good. Thank you guys so much. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you all, and thank you for your input too. Can't wait. Sunday, communion. Go save a seat. If you in person, you get everything online too. So, and that's
and
great.
Join the Alpha prayer group.
Yeah, it's not too late probably to join Alpha.
Yeah.
There's probably one
Yeah.
more week you could still do Alpha.
So very
so that
good.
would be alpha@pog.church.
Yes. God bless you. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
See you Sunday.
See you Sunday.